Depending on what attributes you have as a man, it will pretty much determine what problems you'll have with women. Short guys have their own issues, right? Guys who are chopped have their own issues. But what's not spoken about a lot is the issues that attractive guys will have with women. Now, I've coached a number of guys at this point, and quite a few guys that I've coached actually are good-looking guys. And as I speak and coach more and more of them, there's one issue that has been the common denominator between all of them. And that issue is they can't keep women around. No matter what they do, they just can't keep the woman around. And this doesn't make sense on the surface, right? Like, you're a good-looking guy. Women like good-looking men. So why is she not sticking around? Why are they leaving like clockwork every time you start putting work in? And this is an issue that I've even had myself. Like, I've been single for 3 years, right? I got out of my 8-year-long relationship, got single, got back on the dating market, and I started pounding the pavement. And one of the issues, the earlier issues that I found out is like, it seems like these women like me, but for whatever reason, they're just slipping through my fingers, right? Everything that I do, it doesn't seem to have any kind of staying power. And it didn't make any sense to me. And I actually talked to my coach that I had at the time because I just couldn't wrap my head around it. It even put me in a situation where I took a break from dating because I needed to actually get some clarity around this situation. And as thinking about the problem, as coming up with different hypotheses, I ultimately discovered that the reason why this was happening, the reason why me and other men who are somewhat attractive to the opposite sex have a real problem having women stay around is because we're being placed in the fun guy category. Because here's the thing about women. Just like us men put women in categories, right? There's women who you date who you're like, okay, this is obviously a wife type of woman. And this woman is probably going to be more fun. This is like a woman who I don't really want to be seen with, but I'll put her behind the glass where you break in case of emergencies, right? We have our categories. Women also have categories. They have the fun guy who they get to have fun with and experience. And then they have the man who they want to commit to. And more often than not, the attractive guy, the Chad, if you will, is placed in the fun guy category. And if you're an attractive man who actually wants a wife, actually wants a relationship, this is a problem you need to solve, because if you are being consistently put in that category and you don't understand why, it's not a problem that's going to solve itself. You're likely going to keep running through women without ever realizing how to break out of that cage, right? Now, you may be asking yourself, well, why is it that some attractive men get put in the fun guy category, but then other attractive men don't? Because not all attractive men have this problem. You'll see people in relationships. You'll see very good-looking couples, very good-looking people who are married, and they obviously weren't put in the fun guy category. So what is the differentiator between one man being placed in that category and another one not? To understand this, you have to understand the two sides of attraction, and they are spark and safety. Spark is anything that makes a woman feel emotionally stimulated, right? It makes her desire you. It makes her crave you. So some traits that give off spark will be good looks, smelling good, dressing well, being charismatic, being bold, having a good sense of humor. All of these things give off spark. Safety is anything that makes a woman feel safe and connected to you, right? So some traits that give off safety would be financial stability, emotional intelligence, emotional attunement, actually being curious about her world, having some empathy. These are all traits that give off safety. Now, here's the problem. Guys who get put in the fun guy category, more often than not, are given a lot of spark and almost no safety. Think about it. These are guys who look good. They probably dress well. They're probably charismatic. They can work a room, right? Maybe they're a little funny. So they're very spark heavy because most guys check one of these two boxes. Most guys do not have spark and safety both integrated within them, right? So these guys are just bombarding her with spark and offering little to no safety. And depending on the woman, she may be okay with this, right? You give her a lot of spark, you're turning her on. She's desiring you. But then once she has fun with you, there's really no reason to keep you around unless she just wants to keep having that experience. But even then, you're kind of blocked from being in a relationship with her because you don't make her feel the way that a man would make her feel if she was to consider him for long-term viability. And this is an important thing to understand because a lot of guys don't really have a hard time internalizing this point. Yes, women like spark. Yes, they like for you to be charismatic. Yes, they like for you to have social skills. Yes, they like that emotional roller coaster to a degree, right? But they still need stability. They still need structure. They still need connection. They still need safety at the end of the day if they are going to commit to you, open herself up to you emotionally. That is a prerequisite for that to occur. And if you do not provide her with that, she's not going to give you that opportunity. Now, I talked about this concept on TikTok, and one guy asked me a really good question. He said, well, money is giving safety, right? And I was like, yeah. So he was like, say you're an attractive guy, but you have money. Wouldn't you then be offering her safety? And I was so glad when he asked that question, because it shows that not all safety is equal, right? And the way you want to determine what kind of safety to give a woman is based upon what fears she may have. I'll give you an example. One of the fears a woman may have if she's dealing with a guy with a lot of spark is that you won't commit, right? He probably has a lot of women, a lot of female attention, so he definitely wouldn't commit to someone like me, especially if you're above her in some category. She's already thinking and being insecure and is like, okay, well, this is no reason for me to even entertain being with this person long term, because it's obviously not going to work. And if you take a woman who has a fear like that and you just communicate that you're financially stable, how does that connect to the fear that she has? It doesn't. A better strategy would be you communicating or sub-communicating that she occupies a special place in your life, right? Like you actually see potential with this woman. That will give her the safety that she needs. It will mitigate her fears and allow her to open herself up to you, right? So you want to get pretty good at reading the woman you're with and kind of looking at the sub-communication behind, like, what is she probably hung up on? Because if you really pay attention to women, they always tell you, either via their behavior or just flat out tell you. They'll always tell you what's going on with them. You just have to cultivate the ability to read between the lines. Now, there's another thing you got to keep in mind, and this is something a lot of y'all probably won't want to do, right? Because this goes against all the game advice, right? All the game advice says to sleep with the woman as fast as humanly possible. Even if you have a woman who you are genuinely interested in, you don't want to treat her differently than you would any other woman. And I genuinely agree with that advice, but I want to offer some nuance here. Because if you are being placed in the fun guy category, one thing that you want to do is stop acting in alignment with that category. Meaning, if you try to sleep with her too quickly, maybe like after the first date, maybe even after the second date, if you try to escalate physically too fast, you're pretty much in perfect alignment with the fun guy category. If she's seeing you and dealing with you, and from her perception, she's already framing you in her mind as the fun guy, and then you sleep with her very quickly, it's like, okay, yes, I was correct. I had my experience. Now I can move on, right? You haven't let the connection breathe enough for you to give enough safety for her to like see you differently and see the possibility of actually being with you. Rushing to the end goal, rushing to sleep with her is actually part of what's shooting you in the foot. Because once she gets that experience, she kind of got what she was here for, and then she leaves. So I hate to make it seem like I'm talking to women, because this is normally advice that's given to women, right? Like, don't give that cookie up too quick, sis. Like, you kind of got to move like a woman if you are an attractive man. Because like women, you will be looked at like a piece of meat. Now, obviously, this is only for men who actually want something long term. If you're just out here trying to clap cheeks, do your thing, bro. Keep doing what you're doing, right? You're not doing anything wrong. But if you want long-term viability, you have to play a different game. That's the thing. Learning game, the more advanced you get with it, you learn that there's no one size fits all approach. The answer to every situation is it depends. It depends on the variables at play. Because a guy who's unattractive, his goal should probably be to sleep with her as fast as possible, right? He needs her to see him differently than the way she's seeing you. It just depends on the circumstances. It depends on the variables. But everything I've said up to this point comes with a certain caveat, right? It comes with a caveat. And this is a big point I want guys to understand. Women are people too, right? They have their own psychological hangups. They have their own traumas, their own insecurities. Just because you calibrate to a high degree and you really optimize yourself doesn't guarantee any particular result with a woman. You can at best control 60 to 70% of the outcomes in the dynamic. The rest is up to her. And by that, I mean, if you're dealing with a woman who's in the phase of life where she really just wants to have fun, regardless of what potential you see in her, regardless if you're offering safety and spark, if she's not in a place where she's even willing to commit, there's nothing you can do. You can't save her, right? You cannot save her. So I want to throw that caveat in there because I don't want you guys going out here thinking like, okay, all I have to do is offer safety. It's like, no, you want to make sure you're good on your end. You want to make sure that the reason you don't get the outcome you want has nothing to do with how you're showing up. You want to be in a place where it's like, if you don't get the outcome you want, you know it was because of shorty, because you know everything's good on your end. So if you're offering spark, offering safety, and she still puts you in that category, just know you're dealing with a woman who is going to put you in that category regardless of what you did. So take heed of this advice, guys. I promise you it will give you better outcomes than you're used to. And if you find this content helpful, obviously like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.